She didn't expect any of this to happen even when she signed the lease for this house. She couldn't have known she'd be here with a man, but there were too many eyes at the hotel, and she didn't like the idea of moving things over to his place. He leans closer and plants a kiss on her face before asking if things right now are the way Shin So-jin had expected. She points out it's her very first time, and he pauses for a second, looks her in the eye, practically towering over her with his tall build. In truth, Shin So-jin had thought it would be dangerous to be involved with this man, but we'll find out soon enough if there's a good reason to fear him or not. Back on set, the director calls the recording to come to an end, commends his colleagues for a good day's work. The crew members appreciate Jide for the snacks, but he makes it pretty clear he didn't actually order for them. He informs everyone it's all from Yuri. And that's when the lady beside him blushes hard. She's probably Yuri. The guys all congratulate Lady Yuri on her wedding in advance, and someone not quite far from the bunch listens in on their conversation. She's got a guy holding up an umbrella for her, and she's practically glowing in that outfit. Staring right at the couple up ahead, Jitae and Yuri. Normally it's a happy scene to behold, right? A couple taking a step further in their relationship. Headbound for marriage, a cause for celebration. Well, that wasn't the case for our female lead watching from the shadows because the soon-to-be groom just left her less than a month ago, so unless she's the soon-to-be bride, there's not a lot of reasons to be happy right now, and the disgusted look on her face says it all. Our female lead recalls a conversation she'd had with Kim Ji-tae a while ago. He'd asked her to marry him, and she claims she needed some time to think it through, but the young man demanded an answer right that instant like his life depended on it. Shin. So-jin takes a deep breath and makes it clear he's not the problem. She just doesn't want to get married, and at her words, Jitae freaks out, seriously yelling at the top of his voice and ultimately ends things between them. Our female lead doesn't argue, nor does she beg him to reconsider anything. She point-blank accepts the breakup with a straight face. Let's take a moment to understand the relationship between these two by knowing who they really are. Kim Ji-tae's from a pretty popular family with a massive business. So he'd grown up with a silver spoon and didn't understand our girl's struggles. In the onset of things, Shin So-jin met Kim Ji-tae's mom, and things were good for a while. His mom went ahead to do a background check on our female lead, and her attitude towards our girl changed drastically from the affectionate, welcoming mother figure to the greatest opposition our female has had all her life. Crazy transition, right? The beautiful lady adorned with an amazing spotless skin and her very simple yet gorgeous black dress is Shin. So Jin, she'd made the decision to end the relationship with Jitae, rather than taking a path she believes was too dangerous. And although she didn't want to come for this particular event, she's only here because the CEO requested she shows up. Shin. So Jin is under contract, and she's expected to participate in VIP fashion shows and charity auctions like this one. She's honestly exhausted, and her mind can't take any more stress right now, so she's pretty much oblivious to the surroundings. Someone walks up to our girl, looking surprised to see her. This old lady gives me nothing but a villainous vibe. She claims it's such a small world, and at her words, Shin. So Jin gets on the defensive. The woman who just walked up to her is Madame Zhang, and our girl asks why the lady's here at the event. The madam claims she's here to buy some clothes for her sweet, sweet daughter before asking if Shin So-jin doesn't think now's the perfect time to stop showing her face in public. After all, Madame Zhang could consider all our female leads' mom's debt. She's practically offering money for Shin So-jin to disappear, just like she did to our girl's mother back in the day. Madame Zhang mocks Shin So-jin with a smile and her demeaning statements, and it gets our girl so infuriated, but she's wise not to react because there are people all around them, and so creating a scene here wouldn't be to her interest. Speaking of cameras, in a recent interview, Shin So-jin had been the guest on the show, and she was asked about her mind-boggling popularity in recent times after her last work. She's now considered a top artist, and the interviewer's question is simple for our girl to interpret: how? How did she get to this point? That's the question on everyone's mind. Now back at the party, some ladies walk up to our female lead, and So-jin's not exactly in the mood for another conversation with people that could very much offend her. The first lady claims our girl's looking well, but she's concerned about Shin. So-jin regardless. Who is she, by the way? Yeah, it's Kim Ji-tae's mom, and I could guess the only reason she came here was to taunt our female lead about her son marrying Yuri, and then Madame Zhang and Kim Ji-tae's mom laughed to their heart's content. His mom claims she didn't need to do a background check to find out all about So-jin's case since she really just heard all about it from her dear friend Madame Zhang. They've had their fun, so they turn around to leave with Shin, So-jin left all alone with her thoughts. The whole thing plays in her head over and over again. Kim Ji-tae getting married to a new woman less than a month after breaking up with her, and knowing fully well how people think of things like these, she already expected everyone to start their whispering and gossip in no time. Not letting that get to her, she encourages herself to get things together and not falter in the face of opposition, even though rumors about her will be out of control. While she's trying to put her thoughts in order, she hears someone mention CEO Kang Sung-won is coming for the event today, and it piques her attention. So much murmur all around because of his sudden appearance, even though some people had thought he won't be coming around, the atmosphere changed all of a sudden. And it gets Shin So-jin wondering why, because she'd heard about the man since a while ago, but our girl has never actually met him. Taking a look around, Shin. So Jin notices even Madame Jong is interested in this same CEO. And that's when she lays eyes on him. CEO Kang Sung-won of Soo Construction striding right through the hall looking so sharp in his suit, and more questions arise in her mind. She wonders why someone as great and powerful as he is would make an offer to her. What did he offer, though? Someone shouts Shin. So Jin's name loud enough to make a few heads turn, and when she looks over, she spots the CEO who had begged her to attend this event in the first place, only now showing up like he's the guest of honor. He's panting slightly, blaming his tardiness on the universal villain. Parking. Shin So-jin isn't having any of it. She reminds him, loud enough for his pride to hear, that she only bothered to show up because he specifically asked her to, not because she had a sudden urge to mingle with fancy finger foods and judgmental stares. The poor guy looks cornered, practically pleading as if she's got him backed up against an invisible wall of expectations. His voice trembles with the kind of sincerity that says, "Please don't cancel me," as he insists everything he's doing is for her own good. Shin So-jin, unimpressed and very done with unpaid emotional labor, coolly declares she's not doing any more favors, no pop-ins, no hand-holding, not even a reluctant smile. Surprisingly, he accepts it with a nod, like someone who's just been uninvited from a group chat. As he tries to shuffle her away with all the subtlety of a man smuggling a cat out of a dog park, in walks CEO Kang Sung-won, all calm confidence and perfect timing. Turns out he and the late CEO know each other, though it's been a while since they last exchanged business cards or passive-aggressive small talk. Her gut instinct rings true when she scans the hall and meets the twin daggers of disapproval. Madame Jong and Kim Ji-tae's mom, both glaring at her like she just spilled red wine on a white carpet. Shin So-jin sighs inwardly, because of course they saw everything. Madame Jong's cruel words echo in Shin So-jin's head like an annoying ringtone she can't silence, and the weight of Kim Ji-tae's mom breathing down her neck over the whole Yuri marriage drama doesn't help either. It's like a greatest hits album of passive-aggressive trauma playing on loop. Her shoulders tense up just remembering it all. But that's not the only thing taking up space in her head. Earlier, right before the event, her manager had ambushed her in the garage with what he clearly thought was breaking news. Apparently, the CEO of Soo Construction, Kang Sung-won, is a really big deal. Shin So-jin, being blissfully out of touch with the corporate hot list, gave him a blank stare, which shocked him almost as much as when someone forgets to mute during a Zoom call. She told him she'd heard of Soo Construction in passing. Sure, but the CEO? Total mystery. Intrigued, she prompted him to spill already. Was he rich, eccentric, or just another headline waiting to happen? That's when her manager casually mentioned that the famous CEO Kang Sung-won has been reaching out to him multiple times and, surprise, wants to treat her to a meal, not a coffee. A full-blown meal. And, oh, by the way, he'll be showing up at the event today. A construction CEO she's never even met wanting to treat her to a meal? Yeah, that's definitely pinging Shin So-jin's internal drama radar, especially since he's made it clear he's here today just to see her. Originally, her plan was simple. Avoid him like an unpaid invoice. Shin So-jin knows full well that treating someone to a meal can be corporate code for, let's make this worth my time in all the wrong ways. And suddenly, the whole thing feels like a setup. As far as she's concerned, this mysterious CEO Kang Sung-won is just another one of the many wolves circling, and if Madame Jong or Kim Ji-tae's mom caught a whiff of it, they'd absolutely assume she was selling herself short and cheap. But then again, maybe that's the point. Maybe playing into their assumptions for once could work to her advantage. After all, if everyone already thinks the worst, why not steer the narrative herself? With that, Shin So-jin steps forward, closing the distance with the CEOs like she's making a power move in a boardroom showdown. She greets Kang Sung-won with a smug little smirk, only for him to shoot her back a frown like she just insulted his tie. The CEO who invited her looks like he's about to choke on his own awkwardness when she casually tells Kang to come pick her up after the event. That's her only condition. Translation? She's just accepted the invitation and implied she's ready to serve him tonight, bold as ever. It's a wild play. After the final piece of art is introduced, the real fun begins. The auction. Murmurs ripple through the room like a gossip chain on speed dial. Hands shoot up, flashing numbers worth more than some people's retirement plans, and the stakes just keep climbing. The energy hits a new high when someone suddenly jumps the bid from 100 million to a jaw-dropping 1 billion won. The room collectively gasps like they've just witnessed a plot twist in a K-drama, and just like that, it's sealed. The mysterious bidder is none other than CEO Kang Sung-won, casually dropping $1 billion like he's paying for parking. He raises his hand once, and that single motion commands more attention than all the frantic bidders combined. It's not just money, it's power in motion. The kind that says, I don't have to shout to be heard. Meanwhile, across the room, Shin So-jin is seated next to the CEO who dragged her into this high-stakes art circus, quietly wondering how much money has evaporated into the air tonight. Probably enough to buy a small island or at least fix the potholes in Seoul. She watches Kang Sung-won with a healthy dose of skepticism. Sure, she told him to pick her up after the event, but will he actually follow through? That's the real mystery. The minutes tick by like a slow countdown to embarrassment, and then even the seconds start to feel heavy. Our girl, Shin So-jin, sits still, trying to act unbothered while doing the mental math on how long she can wait before officially labeling herself delusional. CEO Kang Sung-won doesn't even glance in her direction, and it's starting to chip away at her confidence. Reality, it turns out, doesn't come with background music and dramatic lighting. Just as she shifts in her seat, ready to make her quiet exit and save the last shreds of her pride, a hand lands gently on her shoulder from behind. A low voice asks her to leave with them immediately. Thinking it's either her driver or the CEO who invited her and secretly hoping it's neither, she turns around only to freeze. Standing there is Kang Sung-won himself, calm as ever, looking like he just stepped out of an ad for luxury watches. He coolly reminds her that he's here to pick her up exactly as she asked. The line is simple, but it makes her heart skip in a way she didn't expect. Like maybe, just maybe, her crazy gamble wasn't so crazy after all. Still, doubts creep in. Doesn't he have anything to lose getting tangled up with someone like her? And why does he look at her like she's just another item on his to-do list? For a man who let her make such a bold, borderline scandalous proposition, his eyes hold no amusement, no curiosity, just pure indifference. That calm, unreadable expression bothers her more than any loud rejection could. The CEO, who had practically begged Shin So-jin to attend the event, is genuinely taken aback watching her interact so freely with none other than the elusive construction magnate, Kang Sung-won. It's the kind of interaction that makes him question if he's missed a few episodes of a very dramatic series. He stands there, eyebrows climbing as he tries to process the scene unfolding in front of him. Shin So-jin, on the other hand, has no plans to explain herself, especially not when it comes to whatever this strange dynamic is between her and Mr. Billion-won hand-raiser. She politely asks the CEO to head on without her, tossing the words out like an afterthought, even though they land like a curveball. He's clearly confused, not quite on board with her decision to leave, but before he can say much else, Shin So-jin spins on her heel and starts walking away with CEO Kang Sung-won, cool as ever. Just before she disappears from view, she looks back and throws out a final line like a signed waiver, saying she's got a prior agreement with the construction CEO Kang Sung-won, so no hard feelings. Basically, don't take it personal. We'll catch up later. It's smooth, diplomatic, and just cryptic enough to leave the poor guy wondering what kind of agreement she means. Whatever it is, it's clear Shin So-jin's not the side character in anyone's story tonight. Shin So-jin's one of the very best in her field in the whole country. And Kang Sung-won is a massive success as a CEO for a deficit company. He'd turned into a surplus of 120%. And the crowd and grumpled expressions on the people's faces all grew quiet at the sight of our female lead strolling around with the CEO. Shin So-jin is more than pleased to do anything to see that look on their faces. She heads out with CEO Kang Sung-won strolling behind her, and he stops her along the way and asks that they use the elevator before turning over to his multiple subordinates trailing them, and then he dismisses everyone. The authority he commands leaves Shin So-jin speechless as she wonders what are the bounds of his family's wealth and power. The moment they're alone, he starts up a conversation and asks how long he'll need to wait before they get some action done. He points out he's not exactly the patient type, and it gets Shin So-jin wondering if she hadn't made a rash decision back at the event moments ago. It'd be ridiculous to pretend it didn't happen, so she'll have to go through with it after all. Some men get married a month after breaking up, so she's not about to hold back. He calls her attention and she asks that they head over to her house. So yeah, long story short, that's how they ended up in her second house. It's actually a vacation home she'd often visit when she's tired of being at the other house. The kind of things rich people own blows my mind sincerely. They get in the house and she proposes he uses a separate bathroom to freshen up, and he's genuinely curious to know if she's always like this. So he walks over to her and asks. Shin So-jin throws a smirk in his direction and asks if he's not convinced she's as good as he thinks, and suggests he quits now if his head's not in the game. He's definitely not quitting. The evil smile on his face says it all, and he claims he'll enjoy every bit of it after all he's paid for it. She's not quite clear on what he's going on about, and it throws her off to find out he knows the situation already. It's more or less like she's right in the palm of his hands and he's got full control of the situation. He did this on purpose. He's aware to get the real value, and with nothing else to talk about, they both proceed to wash up. Moments later, they're both in bed together and he compliments her beauty and gets undressed. They get intimate. The next morning, Kang Sung-won wakes up to an empty bed and a note that reads, "I'll go first in case you're uncomfortable, and I refuse the proposal." Very simple, very short, very straightforward. He touches his head for a moment, completely lost as he wonders what she's going on about with the talks of a proposal. It has him wondering if he'd propose something in his sleep of maybe there's something he didn't already know. CEO Kang Seung-won is aware his aunt arranged a meeting with a famous actress, so he picks up his phone and checks it out for a moment. Apparently, he'd assumed it was Shin So-jin, so he followed her, and to the best of his knowledge, there's no reason to mention a proposal from the very start. If she's talking about a proposal, then he assumes someone else suggested something, and he remembers what Shin So-jin said back at the party and dials a number on his phone. The person on the other end of the phone picks up the phone, and as far as CEO Kang Sung-won was concerned, that's the only suspect he could think of if he's being impersonated by any chance. What does an impersonation have to do with the proposal? This is getting chaotic, and I'm loving it. Who is the suspected impersonator? At an office somewhere in the city, CEO Kang Sung-won takes out time to deal with a situation that's quickly spiraling from mildly irritating to, "I need 5 aspirin." In front of him is a jittery wreck of a man, Kang Sung-yoon, who's trembling like a leaf in a wind tunnel and practically glued to the floor on his knees. Kang Sung-won narrows his eyes, clearly unimpressed, and reminds Sung-yoon again that he was warned multiple times. Yet here they are. The CEO opens the guy's laptop, because of course there's a laptop, and starts clicking through a suspicious number of folders named after celebrities. It's like a tabloid's hard drive in there. He scrolls until he finds one labeled Shin So-jin and clicks it, revealing a recorded audio file. He presses play, and sure enough, it's a conversation between Kang Seung-yoon and Shin So-jin's manager, with Kang Seung-yoon shamelessly using Kang Seung-won's name to pitch some kind of meal proposal. The CEO's face twitches. Not again. Again? Apparently this isn't new behavior. Frustration bubbles up as Kang Seung-won remembers high school, when this same cousin pulled a stunt just like this, borrowing his name like it was a library book. And even after a proper dressing down from the chairman, he still didn't quit. It's like Kang Sung-yoon's hobby isn't collecting stamps or building model kits, it's career identity theft. CEO Kang Sung-won leans back, arms crossed, eyebrows slightly raised as a sudden thought hits him like a forgotten email marked urgent. Maybe he's been mistaken this whole time. Come to think of it, Shin So-jin wasn't the only woman who reacted oddly to him. There were a few who acted like they knew him personally, even though he was pretty sure he'd remember meeting someone who bowed that enthusiastically. Some even got strangely flustered in his presence, like he'd just walked in wearing a crown and holding their childhood diary. The CEO actually gives a sarcastic nod of admiration, impressed at how well his cousin had kept the deception under wraps all this time. But Kang Sung-yoon, in true defiant fashion, insists there's no solid evidence linking him to this particular mess. In response, Kang Sung-won calmly reaches for a nearby bottle of wine, something probably expensive enough to be its own investment, and casually pours it all over the laptop. Well, that's goodbye. Evidence. With a smirk, he remarks that Kang Sung-yoon still has a long way to go, then stands and approaches him like a patient teacher heading toward a very disappointing student. He knows his cousin doesn't exactly idolize him, probably ranks him somewhere between a root canal and a group chat notification from the family, but starting a private loan business in a family swimming in wealth didn't win him any popularity points either. Still, irony has a sense of humor. because it's that very business Kang Sung-yoon dismissed that's been quietly holding their fancy legacy together like duct tape in a designer suit. CEO Kang Sung-won stares down at his cousin, who's still trembling like a poorly balanced washing machine on a spin cycle. For a moment, the room is thick with tension, the kind that makes interns pretend to answer emails they never opened. Then, with a calmness that's somehow more terrifying than yelling, Kang Sung-won threatens to expose everything, every impersonation, every dirty little scam. But instead of flipping the family table, he leans in and simply suggests Kang Seung-yoon do himself a favor. Shut his mouth, keep his head low, and move on with his life if he doesn't want the truth spilling out like bad wine at a company retreat. Kang Seung-yoon can only shake, clearly processing how close he is to having his entire scheme turned into tomorrow's headline. CEO Kang Sung-won would love to see just how humiliating it'd be if this all got out. Imagine the press conference, but assures his cousin that today isn't the day. With that, he stands, brushes imaginary dust off his coat like a man done with foolishness, and walks out without so much as a backward glance. Down the hallway, out the door, and straight into the sunshine, he doesn't feel triumphant. No smug victory soundtrack plays. Instead, there's an odd weight in his chest. He's caught the person behind the whole proposal debacle, sure, but why doesn't he feel even a little satisfied? It hits him mid-thought, like a cold splash of reality. Elsewhere, in a brighter, much more cheerful setting, lunchtime chatter buzzes in the air. Yuri and Kim Ji-tae wave for everyone's attention, and with a proud grin, Lee Yuri announces that she and her man have prepared a little surprise to lift everyone's spirits, something special to sweeten the mood after the lunch boxes. Because nothing says group morale like a good surprise and just a hint of PDA. The soon-to-be groom calls out to Shin So-jin, who's nearby on set, and she can't help but roll her eyes, wondering if the couple isn't just doing a bit too much for attention. Yesterday, it was a snack truck rolling in like it was a food festival, and now lunch boxes magically appear out of nowhere. Talk about attention-seeking on full display. Meanwhile, the crew happily digs into their meals as the couple strolls over to our female lead Shin So-jin. Kim Ji-tae casually asks if she feels uncomfortable watching their public display, and Yuri jumps in with an apology, one of those sorry not sorry types. Shin So-jin glances at Kim Ji-tae's face and knows that sorry is not really part of his vocabulary. After all, a few months back, he'd openly told her he was just trying to show off. Looks like Yuri's catering to that ego perfectly. Honestly, Shin So-jin thinks maybe that breakup was a blessing in disguise. When asked if she's uncomfortable, Shin So-jin just smiles, convincingly enough to keep the peace and maybe, just maybe, hide a little satisfaction. Shin So-jin throws a smooth compliment Kim Ji-tae's way, praising him for keeping the mood on set upbeat and for looking out for the crew with those thoughtful lunchboxes. The praise lands like a slap in the face for the couple, exactly how Shin So-jin planned it. She figures Kim Ji-tae was probably expecting tears or a dramatic outburst, but nope. She's not about to play the emotional wreck card. Comfortable or not, she's got a job to do, and she's ready to nail it like the pro she is. As she strides away, her mind briefly drifts to a mental image of a shirtless CEO Kang Sung-won, because why wouldn't it? And she wonders how last night went. Just thinking about it makes her heart skip like a scratched record. Our female lead reminds herself she only did it to spite Madame Zhang, but honestly, he was nothing like she imagined. Before she can get lost in those tangled thoughts, a booming "start shooting" snaps her back to reality. Still caught up in the whirlwind of last night's events, our girl can't help but feel a twinge of regret, though she can't quite put her finger on why. After wrapping up a long day of filming, the manager takes a moment to thank everyone for their hard work. The kind of pep talk that makes coffee unnecessary. Almost. Then, out of nowhere, he calls Shin So-jin over, saying he wants to have a chat. He's heard she ran into his mom at some event yesterday, but Shin So-jin cuts him off sharp and clear. She's got nothing to say to him. Plus, she adds with a sly smile, it'd be pretty awkward for Lee Yuri if she overheard their conversation. The soon-to-be groom, Kim Ji-tae, tries to push for a proper talk, insisting maybe his mom said something strange, but before he can make his case, the room is interrupted by a booming announcement. The CEO of the investor's company has arrived. Drumroll please, it's none other than CEO Kang Sung-won. Shin So-jin freezes, eyes wide, wondering what on earth he's doing here. Is he here to cause trouble? Or last night was too good and he's back for more so soon? Shin So-jin wonders why the construction CEO is here, and the director introduces our female lead, as well as Kim Ji-tae. They all have a standoff. Greeting roll through, introductions and handshakes. The moment he shakes hands with our female lead, the CEO claims it's really nice to see her again, makes it really loud and clear they know each other before now. She affirms they met at the event just last night, and it's a surprise to meet him again today, just hours after their last meeting. The fact the two of them know each other gets everyone murmuring, and then the CEO turns to Kim Ji-tae to greet him properly before he's let off by the director. So many whispers in the background as everyone sees CEO Kang Sung, one more like a celebrity than an actual celebrity, and they all have several great opinions about the successful CEO. Shin So-jin had no idea Kang Sung-won was involved in this movie, so it kind of hurts her to find out he didn't invest in her business, but actually in something else. Kim Ji-tae moves over to her side and asks about CEO Kang Sung-won, but she shrugs him off, claims they'll talk later if he has nothing urgent to talk about before walking off. Her manager follows her quietly and shows concern for her well-being, but she assures him it's nothing serious. Claims she just has a headache, but in reality she's seriously dizzy, and she can't help but wonder what's her next course of action regarding the whole situation from last night. In her car on her way home, her manager praises the CEO's handsome features, and when she shows interest in what he's saying, he asks if she didn't hear anything he said earlier. Shin So-jin lets out a deep breath and makes it clear the same CEO he's praising is Mr. Kang Sung-won. She can't understand why he sounds like they've not met before now. In truth, her manager's lost. He proceeds to ask if the CEO has the same name with the guy he'd mentioned yesterday, and she stops his blabbing, makes it clear the guy they just met is Kang Sung-won from SU Construction. It shocks her manager and his eyes widen. You wonder why, huh? Well, let's just say the Kang Sung-won who claimed he wanted to have a meal with our female lead. Isn't the CEO they met a few minutes ago, and her manager confirms the picture he'd received was of a completely different person. Reality hits Shin So-jin. She'd slept with a man that had nothing to do with her. No proposal. Nothing at all. And the thought horrifies her seriously. Questions well up in her mind. She demands they check their cell phones, and lo and behold, the pictures have been deleted. Her manager assures her he's got the picture of the man who made the proposition to him and hands over his phone to Shin So-jin to check it out. Laying eyes on him, it's clear the manager had been tricked, and now she's questioning her decision to have gone through with last night. Let's piece it all together. The guy who offered Shin So-jin a sponsorship was fake, and Kang Sung-won, who she met last night, was the real deal. Okay, she's cooked. Our female lead can't help but wonder what in the world CEO Kang Sung-won was thinking when he agreed to sleep with her. Her thoughts are cut short when her manager freaks out at the fact some fancy foreign car was trailing them, and when our girl takes a look at the vehicle, she could confirm it was actually Kang Sung-won's car as she spots him through the window. Looking right at her vehicle, he picks up his phone and places a call through to her. She picks up and he suggests they sit and have a chat. He informs her he'll meet up at her second house. True to his words, they meet up at her vacation home and they sit to talk. She points out there's nothing to offer him except a glass of water since she didn't exactly expect to see him, nor did she invite him over. With her head plummeting in shame, she informs him she'd made a mistake. She'd gotten a sponsorship offer and thought it was from him. Then she owns up to her errors, makes it clear she believes it's an impersonation, but it's her fault for not recognizing it sooner. She shows CEO Kang Sung won the picture of the man who tricked her manager, and our male lead takes the phone from her and informs her it's actually his cousin. He points out that his cousin has had this bad habit for a very long time, and even though he offered her manager a lot of money, he still thinks the manager took the bait because of the whole debt situation surrounding Shin So-jin. Then he suggests our girl changes her manager before apologizing for his negligence. CEO Kang Sung-won makes it clear he's taken care of his cousin, so she's got absolutely nothing to worry about. Though she's fidgeting, Shin So-jin sums up courage and brings up the issue of the offer. She wants to know why he accepted her offer, why he'd make such a bold suggestion, and a smirk finds its way to the CEO's handsome face. I have a very bad feeling about this, and I don't know why. The look on his face makes her uneasy as she sits across from him, wondering if she really spent the night with this guy over something so trivial and seriously. Why can't they just settle it over the phone like normal people? She guesses he's here to check if something's seriously wrong, so she decides to open up. She clears the air, explaining that last night was just a big misunderstanding and that she's not about to make a fuss over it. If he wants to keep things under wraps, she's totally fine with that. Secret agents have their reasons, right? She speaks her mind, and just as she finishes, he asks if she has anything else to say, still looking like he's got some kind of secret plan cooking. When she confirms she's done talking, he throws her a curveball. CEO Kang Sung-won offers to give her whatever she wants and promises to support her needs as best he can. The offer knocks her off balance, jaw practically dropping to the floor, because apparently the pleasure of last night was so intense he was completely wiped out by morning. She can't help but wonder if that's his way of saying, "I'm broke but generous." Or maybe he's just really bad at mourning people. Shin So-jin asks if he really didn't get her note rejecting the offer, but he just shrugs and says he felt pretty empty after that night anyway, because technically she'd turned down his cousin, not him. Then he ups the ante, promising something way better, but of course she politely declines and sticks to her guns, apologizing but firm as ever. CEO Kang Seung-won can't help but tease her, pointing out that if she really didn't need anything, they wouldn't be sitting here awkwardly across from each other. For all he knows, they wouldn't even be able to look each other in the eye if she were totally self-sufficient. And honestly, with his status, background, and the weight his name carries, that's a pretty sweet deal in anyone's book. Still, he stays cool but pushes back on her point, reminding her she was the one who told him to come pick her up. He guesses it was because the ladies at the party were watching, and bam, he nails it right on the head, leaving her seriously startled and wondering if he's secretly a mind reader. He goes on to claim one single date may sound like a joke more than a meaningless relationship, so he's not about to end things at just one night. Taking it to thought, it's pretty clear that Shin So-jin's reputation is the only one that'll suffer. And with the way things ended at the party, her prideful exit with the top man at the event would backfire so badly. And there's still the possibility of meeting Madame Jong again. CEO Kang Seung-won informs her that Madame Jong had actually made an offer for the spot our girl desires. And if she refuses his offer here and now, then he'll have to pull sponsorship, and she'll be left to dry that amongst other things. Because if he leaves, he'll also deny any relationship with her. Bro is a master at this negotiation thing, and he even claims he doesn't want to leave her in a tight spot, so he's hoping she considers his offer. Shin So-jin's head plummets as she ponders on all he's said. Even though he's said it in the nicest way possible, it's quite clear there's no way out right now. The hand of the construction CEO, which she'd dragged on impulse the night before, even though she was aware it was a dangerous path to take, is still the same hand that's sure to hold her up and keep her from falling. He's like an evil mastermind, putting the pieces of his plan in place one at a time. The young man makes it clear she'll have the honor of claiming she dumped him when they eventually break up, and word gets out that's assuming she takes the offer anyway. So rather than a relationship fizzling out after one date, this option sounds way better and she knows it. She can't help but ask why he wants this, even though it's probably not going to end well in the long run, and his response is pretty straightforward and simple. CEO Kang Seung-won claims she's his type. No further reasons, but she's not convinced, and he, on the other hand, isn't exactly here to convince her to believe him. He stretches out his hand and touches hers gently, asks her to remember last night and trust him just off that. At the mention of last night, our girl blushes uncontrollably. Then our male lead offers to give her a bank card even though he believes she wouldn't need it. That's still on the condition that she accepts his offer. Shin So-jin makes it clear she's not in need of his money. Yeah, coming from someone who's got a vacation home and is considered one of the best actors in Korea, it's clear she's not broke. CEO Kang Seung-won agrees with her, but also insists that it's all he has to offer. They sit in awkward silence for a moment, and finally he asks for an answer to his offer. Remember, he mentioned he wasn't a very patient man. She's startled at the fact he really wants a reply right away, and he's not exactly shaken. As far as he's concerned, there's only one right answer right now. And staring right at him, she could tell it didn't occur to him that he could be rejected. And even though she knows it's better not to be involved with the our male lead, the benefits are boundless. The thought of watching Madame Jong's face crumple again makes her decide it's worth it, and so she accepts his offer, but calls his attention to the fact she has one condition. What is her condition? Is it something impossible or something dumb? We'll find out soon enough. Shin So-jin's condition is rather cheeky. She wants CEO Kang Seung-won to take her to an event where Madame Jong will be attending and treat her like the most precious person in the world right in front of her. Upon negotiation and consideration, they've both decided to write a contract, and she receives her payment in advance. Really crazy terms. And later that evening, she got a text from Kang Seung-won with the contract file, and also an invite for an event meant to hold the very next night, and he'd love to take her with, and she accepts. Well, I hate to be a hater, but is it me or things are moving too smoothly for these two? CEO aside, Shin So-jin had a pretty messy day. First filming was due to an actor. When she was shooting, light exploded and everything went downhill. Long story short, they were delayed for an extra 3 hectic hours at set, and afterwards Shin So-jin was about to call Kang Seung-won to cancel, but her phone went missing. For some reason, she wasn't able to find it ever since the lighting exploded on set. Our female lead laid hands on another cell phone and deleted the memory of her original cell phone, but she couldn't lay her hands on Kang Seung-won's phone number, and it troubled her because she's not about to be the first person to break their promise just a day after they'd agreed on the offer. While she's thinking about what to do and heading right for the elevator, It slides open and our male lead steps out looking sharp. Next minute, he's questioning why she didn't pick up her phone and he startles her in the process. Our female lead narrates all about the terrible day she's had so far, and in response, he just smiles. He claims he's relieved it's nothing worse and proceeds to pull her closer. It's time to move out. And he reminds her time is running out. Judging off his disposition, she assumes he's giving her a chance to draw back now if that's what she desires, but Shin So-jin can't. She just can't back out. Back at her place, he informs her the event's a publication ceremony for Chairman Kang for a book that celebrates 50 years' success of the group's foundation, and though it's nothing much but a whole lot of people were invited. Amongst the numerous invites, Madam Jong and Kim Ji-tae also make the list. Our girl wonders if Kang Seung-won is aware she'd been in a relationship with Kim Ji-tae. The moment they arrive at the event, he suggests she avoids coming in contact with Madam Jong for the time being. After all, he considers this a small gathering of useless people, Madam Jong included. It's almost like he's being considerate towards our girl Shin So-jin. The moment they arrive and are spotted by Chairman Kang, he's very surprised to see our male lead made it for the event with a beautiful lady right next to him. CEO Kang Seung-won apologizes for showing up late, and both he and our girl greets the chairman formally. Chairman Kang apologizes for pulling a busy man like our male lead to what he considers a book launch of an old man, himself. CEO Kang Seung-won stays modest and congratulates the chairman on the book's publication before Mr. Kang points out the fact that our guy's not alone today. Shin So-jin greets once more and introduces herself to the chairman before congratulating him on his book's publication. He apparently recognizes her, and she claims it's an honor to be recognized by him, but he points out the fact his wife is actually a big fan of hers before wishing the youngsters a good time, and then leaves to attend to other guests. Shin So-jin's thoughts wander off for a moment, and she's kind of worried she doesn't really know too much about CEO Kang Seung-won, and wonders if there's a chance he takes women to events like these. Our male lead notices some people staring hard, and he claims it's like they've got weapons pointed in their direction with the eyes he's sighting afar off. Shin So-jin takes a look around and lays eyes on Kim Ji-tae, his mom and Madam Jong, and it's clear they've noticed our girl and CEO Kang Seung-won. But before she thinks too much about it, he calls her attention and suggests they move around and say hello to the people around. Our female lead takes a breath and places her hands in his, and as they proceed together, the crowd starts buzzing as everyone's wondering when and how the superstar Shin So-jin got her hands on CEO Kang Seung-won. Our girl is practically resisting her instincts to run away right now, and she's oddly reminded of the time Madam Jong slapped her mother with a bundle of money. She'd seen it right in front of her friends, and she was rendered speechless, and as if that wasn't enough, when she didn't want to stress herself with the deed, she'd often send someone else to do it right in front of the school gate. The agent would slap young Shin So-jin right on the face in public. That's the kind of person Madam Jong is. A villain, a witch, you name it. Thinking back reminds our female lead Shin So-jin just how much she wishes to hurt Madam Jong and how far she's willing to go to make her pay. How far, you ask? Any length necessary. They're right in front of the ops, and with a smile on her face, Madam Jong addresses CEO Kang Seung-won very casually and even congratulates him on a recent project he successfully finished. Amidst the talk, he doesn't take a second to introduce our female lead, and it troubles our girl seriously. The more Shin So-jin looks in his direction, the deeper he falls into conversation with her Madam Jong and Kim Ji-tae's mom. Our girl locks eyes with Madam Jong for a second, and a thought springs up in her heart. Maybe, just maybe there's a possibility Kang Seung-won is on Madam Jong's side. Oh my, could this be the plot twist we've been hoping for? Stick around and we'll uncover this together. Shin So-jin can't help but wonder if it's all a plot to slap right in the face. She begins to question her decision to trust a man she only just met, even though she's aware Madam Jong would go to any length to make her suffer, and using CEO Kang Seung-won isn't something that's beyond her. As she stares menacingly at the CEO and her arch-nemesis sharing laughs, anger boils up inside her, so she decides to move around a little, possibly get a drink to cool off and gather her thoughts. Kim Ji-tae notices she's moving around and walks up to her to start up a conversation. He wants to know why our girl's here. The moment he appears in front of her, she wonders if he'd been waiting for her to be all alone before approaching, and a frown mounts on her face. Then she turns around to leave. Make it really clear she deserves to be here. And in truth, she really doesn't feel like talking to her ex Kim Ji-dae right now. It's almost like she hurt his pride the moment she turned her back on him, and so he demands to know why she's here with the construction CEO. The question grips Shin So-jin and stops her in her tracks. He speaks as if they were still together, and in a moment he begins to yell at her and even accuses her of cheating on him with someone else. It's at this point that our girl turns to him, walks up to him, and the more he demands answers, the angrier she gets just listening to him speak. He wants to know if she was seeing someone else while they were dating, and she makes it clear his suspicions are dumb and inaccurate. Shin So-jin informs him she'd met Kang Sung-won after they broke up, and the fact of the matter is she's not even dating the CEO, but he's not exactly convinced because he finds it strange how she found herself here at the event. He points out it's not exactly an easy event to find yourself, and to the best of his knowledge, the CEO bringing her here means they're quite serious. The soon-to-be groom Kim Ji-tae is super pissed right now, and he asks if she's aware of the terrible rumors going around right now. But she throws a question right back at him as she's curious to know why he didn't bring his soon-to-be bride. After all, he'd often bring her to the set, and now he's here at the event alone. What a joker. The words strike him as offensive, and his jaws drop at the thought of our girl speaking to him with such confidence. She savors the moment and decides it's the perfect time to bring to his notice the fact they're no longer together, and makes it clear she doesn't want to see him or have any conversations like this anymore. Kim Ji-tae is practically trembling right now. It's clear she's hit a nerve. Shin So-jin spells it out plainly. They're not together, and he's got someone to marry now, so she wants nothing to do with him. Kim Ji-tae looks like he's having a mental breakdown, and he begins to question his decisions leading to this very moment. Shin So-jin reminds him of the fact he'd joyfully announced his wedding less than a month after their breakup, so all she wants is that he stops with the mind games. Even though he did all he did, he looked quite spooked hearing her speak to him this way that he's genuinely trembling right now. Kim Ji-tae freaks out and confesses he only wanted to marry Yuri, so he'd show her off and suggests the possibility of them coming back together. But she steals the words right out of his mouth and demands he doesn't say something so horrible ever again. Shin So-jin reminds him of the day they broke up and walks away. It's a moment of shock to Kim Ji-tae, but all I see is pure aura from our female lead right now. The young man trembles so hard he practically breaks the wine glass in his hands, and the moment his mom sees her boy down on the ground gripping his hands, she dashes in their direction, screaming her son's name at the top of her voice. Kim Ji-tae's mom checks on her son and immediately turns her attention to our female lead, Shin So-jin, then yells at our girl, blaming her for her son's misfortune. Shin So-jin's visibly frustrated, and in her moment of distress, CEO Kang Sung-won walks up to her and takes out his napkin and bends over to clean her blood-stained feet with it. He claims he's pleased there's no injury with a reassuring smile on his face. He makes it clear he's willing to drop by the hospital if our girl's uncomfortable. Taking a look around, he concludes the broken wine glass incident happened because the glass was fragile. You wonder why he didn't introduce her to Madame Jong in the first place? Well, let's just say he waited to create a dramatic situation so that everyone is going to notice their relationship. CEO Kang Seung-won assures Shin So-jin he'll talk to the person in charge as regards the glass against next time, and the two walk off with the people talking about our girl and the CEO being a thing. Talk about a power couple. These two are hitting it off with so much pressure to the public. Shin So-jin clutches the chairman's book like it's a shield as she sits beside Kang Sung-won in his car, the silence between them growing louder by the second. She finally breaks it with an apology for the chaos at the event, though her tone suggests she'd rather be anywhere else, like maybe skydiving without a parachute. Seung-won, ever the calm storm, asks if she plans on compensating him for the mess, to which she swiftly reminds him that Kim Ji-tae was the one who introduced his fist to the glass, not her. If someone's wallet needs to cry, it's his. The topic then shifts like a sudden lane change, and Sung-won casually asks what Ji-tae wanted to talk about. So-jin hesitates, unsure if it's safer to lie or jump out of the moving car. Her disbelief grows when Sung-won shows zero concern about his grandfather's opinion, as if that wouldn't get most people disinherited by breakfast. Then he hits her with the real curveball, asking if Ji-tae is trying to get back with her. So-jin's eyes practically pop out of her head, wondering if he's been eavesdropping from the potted plants. But Sung-won simply shrugs and says he could tell from Ji-tae's expression. Apparently, years of boardroom meetings have made him fluent in ex-boyfriend face. Still, he ends it by saying he hopes her ex didn't charm his way back in because, well, that would just ruin his whole evening. Kang Sung-won breaks the silence again, this time with a blunt confession. He doesn't like the idea of Shin So-jin thinking about Kim Ji-tae when she's with him. So-jin quickly reassures him that there's zero chance of that happening. If she still had feelings for Ji-tae, she wouldn't have ended things in the first place. Case closed. Trying to change the subject, she asks where they're going, and Sung-won, ever mysterious, simply says, "Home." Of course, that raises more questions than answers, and So-jin squints suspiciously before asking if he means his place. He nods because naturally, home means his penthouse, not like a ramen shop or something reasonable. They arrive, and once inside, Sojin is immediately drawn to a stunning piece of art on the wall. It's not loud or flashy, but something about it holds her in place, like a spell with really great taste. She stares for a long while, feeling oddly moved. Just like Seungwon once mentioned, it overwhelms people, even without bright colors or dramatic flair. He strolls up beside her, watching her watch it, and casually asks if she likes it. She nods, still unsure what exactly about it pulls her in. But it does. Kind of like how she's not sure why she's still standing there next to him, heart doing somersaults. The whole scene makes Kang Seungwon let out a low chuckle, clearly amused by how captivated Shin So-jin is by the artwork. Without missing a beat, he casually offers to give it to her, like he's handing over a snack instead of a priceless piece of decor. But So-jin immediately refuses, saying it's way too much because, accepting art like that might come with hidden terms and conditions. To break the tension, Seungwon clarifies with a smirk that he never said it was for free. In fact, he fully intends to squeeze every bit of value out of the deal, and the mischievous gleam in his eyes suggests he's already dreaming up the fine print. He leans in, close enough to hijack her personal space, and reminds her that she still owes him a reward for kneeling back at the event. His voice is smooth, his tone playful, and now he's hovering just centimeters from her, like he's about to steal her breath along with her peace of mind. Then he adds that he was planning to take things slow, but judging by the current atmosphere, that plan's been tossed out the window. He motions toward the bed, his suggestion clear as day, and suddenly, that slow burn they've been dancing around feels more like a wildfire. After things heat up between them, the two lie tangled in bed, the room quiet except for the sound of their breathing. Shin So-jin drifts off quickly, clearly worn out, emotionally and otherwise. But Kang Seungwon stays wide awake, eyes fixed on the woman beside him. He gently brushes a strand of hair from her face, his movements uncharacteristically soft for someone usually more familiar with contracts than cuddles. As he watches her sleep, something odd happens. He starts to get it. The hype, the obsession, the whole people go crazy for sex thing that's always seemed a little over the top to him suddenly makes perfect sense. Normally, that kind of stuff isn't his style. He's more boardroom than bedroom talk. But with So-jin, all bets are off. There's a very real chance he's about to become one of those people who daydream about stolen moments and lingering touches, and honestly, he's not mad about it. Every second with her feels unreal, like he's woken up inside a dream he has no intention of leaving. Sure, they've still got a long road ahead, full of twists, turns, and probably more emotionally charged standoffs, but right now, with her by his side, it all feels worth it. And honestly, we're just getting started. Enjoying this so far? Comment part 2 below. Until next time, ciao.